Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Arundhati Ramanan, and these are the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. Sensex and Nifty end with marginal gains, but mid-cap index and bank stocks decline. IT and oil and gas stocks offer support. US and China agree on a framework to get the trade truce back on track after 2 days of negotiations in London. US Commerce Secretary says the deal should end China's restrictions on rare earth magnets. The framework needs to be signed off by President Trump and President Xi. India and US make progress towards a trade deal after a week of negotiations in Delhi. Indian government sources say the talks were productive and remain confident of an interim deal before the 9th of July. India to collaborate with Russia as it aims to plug gaps in its fighter jet fleet. Sources say government is actively considering Russia's Su-57 fighters. No proposal to acquire American F-35s. For now, that's an exclusive. Government is exploring ways to incentivize mining of rare earth magnets as China's curbs bite the industry. Sources say government is exploring ways in which it can leverage its public sector unit for production, even as diplomatic efforts to resolve the crisis continues. Copper imports under government scanner. Sources say Customs Department is probing alleged duty evasion under the Asian Free Trade Agreement. Industry writes to the finance minister saying the customs action is arbitrary. Alcohol gets costlier in Maharashtra. The state government hikes excise duty on IMFL and premium liquor by at least over 50%. Also approves a new category of grain-based foreign liquor called Maharashtra-made liquor. This is the first excise duty hike on liquor since 2011 and is expected to add 14,000 crore rupees to the state government's kitty. Top liquor stocks drag in trade. A Singapore flag cargo ship is still on fire for the third day near the Kerala coast. Coast Guard says 40% of the fire has been extinguished. China thanks India for rescuing the crew members, which included 14 people from China and 6 from Taiwan. Israeli forces kill at least 35 people at a food distribution center in Gaza. 10 other people killed in strikes at Khan Yunis. Nearly 55,000 Palestinians have died so far. UK, Australia, Canada and others place sanctions on 2 Israeli government ministers. Elon Musk regrets some social media posts he made about US President Donald Trump during an explosive public dispute. Musk says some of his posts went too far. U.S. cities brace for more protests over President Trump's crackdown on immigrants. Parts of Los Angeles placed under curfew. Thousands marched through downtown Chicago. The launch of Axiom 4 mission carrying India's Subhanshu Shukla and 3 others to the International Space Station delayed once again. SpaceX cites a technical snag. No new launch date announced just yet. Those were the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening, but straight to the day's market action. Benchmarks outperformed the broader markets, with Nifty holding on to levels above the 25,100 mark and gaining for the 6th straight day. IT stocks lent support while financials dragged the market down. Oil and gas stocks also witnessed all-round gains, with the index rising over 1%. In a bid to crack down on cyber frauds, market regulator SEBI has launched new validated UPI handles for secured payments by investors. Addressing a press conference in Mumbai, SEBI chairperson Tuhin Kanta Pandey said that there were concerns over people falling prey to cyber frauds. Pandey said that the check tool, which would be available from October 1st, will allow investors to check if the UPI account belongs to a verified broker.
The issue that we are going to have on a much wider systemic scale, which is the payment system itself, where we are bringing in a new UPI within the UPI system, and you have seen how it will help in knowing for you to know, and you can check up on any bank account whether it is a bank account of a registered inventory, either broker or mutual fund. You should be able to check it. So this would be very handy, and going forward, as we will see, it will be implemented from 1st of October.
The big story this evening, US and Chinese officials have agreed on a framework to restore their trade truce after 2 days of intense negotiations in London. Addressing reporters outside the Lancaster House, US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said that the framework will only be implemented after US President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping approve the terms of the agreement. He also said that the deal should end China's restrictions on rare earth magnets. However, trade negotiation teams from US and China did not disclose any details of the framework agreed upon in Geneva in May. US Commerce Secretary Lutnick only said that the new agreement solidifies the Geneva deal.
We have reached a framework to implement the Geneva Consensus and the call between the two presidents. Right? So that was on June 5th. So we've combined those two. We've reached a framework for implementation. Now the process will be, we're both going to go back. We, Ambassador Greer, myself, and Scott Bessent, who just left a little earlier, which you saw, because he's testifying tomorrow on the Hill. So the idea is we're going to go back and speak to President Trump and make sure he approves it. They're going to go back and speak to President Xi and make sure he approves it. And if that is approved, we will then implement the framework that we have worked hard over these last 2 days. Obviously, the team stayed at it until it was done late into the evening. Absolutely expect that the topic of rare earth minerals and magnets with respect to the United States of America will be resolved in this framework implementation. That is a fundamental part of that. Also, there were a number of measures the United States of America put on when those rare earths were not coming. You should expect those to come off sort of, as President Trump said, in a balanced way. When they approve the licenses, then you should expect that our export implementation will come down.
And speaking of a trade deal with USA, India and US are making progress towards a deal after a week of negotiations in Delhi. Indian government sources have said that the talks were productive and remain confident of an interim deal before the July 9th deadline. Abhimanyu Sharma joins us now with the details. Abhimanyu, take us through what's going on with these negotiations.
Well, the negotiations took place between the Indian negotiating team and the visiting team from the United States, which was led by the Assistant US Trade Representative from the 4th June to the 10th of June in New Delhi. And now several issues pertaining to market access, pertaining to technical barriers to trade, legal framework, and also several other concerns on sanitary and phytosanitary issues were discussed between both the sides. Now, both the sides are looking to sign an interim deal before the 9th of July to avert the applicability of reciprocal tariffs, which have been stayed till the 9th of July by the United States. And both the sides are also looking for the first tranche of a bilateral trade agreement, which they are looking to sign by the September or October of this year. Now, concerns exist on both the sides. There are sensitive issues for which both the sides are making their respective pitches. Speaking of India's stand, India till now has indicated that it is going to bilaterally resolve the issue of steel and aluminium tariffs, which have been levied by the United States. Also, India may be looking at a minimum import price for products in the dairy and agriculture sector to protect sensitivities. Apart from that, market access continues to be a big issue for both the sides, even as negotiations continue, and both the sides are looking to conclude negotiations at the earliest.
Right, Abhimanyu, many thanks for those details. Now, China's stranglehold on rare earth magnets has left the Indian auto industry in a bind. Sources say that the government is exploring ways in which it can leverage its public sector unit for production, even as diplomatic efforts to resolve the crisis continues. The government is also exploring how to leverage India Rare Earth Limited's production capabilities. On to a CNBC TV 18 exclusive, the Indian government may collaborate with Russia with an aim to plug gaps in its fighter jet fleet. Sources have said that the government is actively considering Russia's SU-57 fighters. However, no proposal to acquire American F-35s for now. Parikshit Luthra joins us now with the details. Parikshit, take us through the government's plan on this front.
The Indian government is deploying a three-pronged strategy to meet gaps in its fighter jet program. This after Air Chief AP Singh recently said that India needs at least 35 to 40 fighters per year. The Defence Ministry had announced a new execution model for the 5th generation fighter program 2 weeks ago, and this was to encourage participation of foreign and domestic private companies and provide them a level playing field with Indian PSUs like HAL. Sources tell us that the government is set to issue a request for proposal for the AMCA program next week, and this will be followed by the first pre-bid meeting with the industry in 15 days. The government may then invite bids in 45 days, so they're moving on this quite fast. As the development of an advanced medium combat aircraft or a fifth-generation fighter has a long development period, the government is also looking at ways to meet immediate needs of the Air Force for a fifth-generation fighter. Now, the Russian government has submitted a proposal to the Indian Air Force to supply and make SU-57 fighter jets. The government is now considering this proposal actively to see if Su-57 fighters can be acquired in a flyaway condition from Russia in the short term and also made in India. The reason why this is under consideration is because HAL or Hindustan Aeronautics Limited already has a Su-30 production line in Nasik, and we have a long-standing collaboration on fighter jets with Russia. Thirdly, the government is looking at ways to develop and manufacture fifth-generation fighter jet engines in India. Proposals have been received from Safran and Rolls-Royce, and these are the only two companies willing to provide 100% technology transfer and intellectual property. No plans as of now to acquire F-35s from the United States, and there is no proposal in front of the ministry either. When it comes to boosting air defense, this is a priority area, and the government is thinking about ordering perhaps 1 or 2 more units beyond the existing order from Russia for the S-400. Now, Russia has already delivered 3 squadrons of the S-400, and 2 more will be delivered by 2026. When it comes to quick reaction surface-to-air missiles systems for the Army, the Defence Acquisition Council could soon take up a proposal for this acquisition, and the total cost of this would be around 30,000 crore rupees.
All right, Parikshit, thank you so much for taking us through those details. And it's time to move to another CNBC TV 18 exclusive. The Customs Department has issued notices to nearly 2,000 copper importers for allegedly evading duty under the India-ASEAN FTA. It is now seeking a 35% retrospective duty as per value addition rules. Industry has dismissed these claims and has appealed to the Finance Minister for immediate action. Timsy joins us now with all of those details. Timsy, what is the potential impact of this move?
Well, yes, what we are given to understand from sources is the fact that the Customs Department is probing a case that is a pan-India case of duty evasion by the copper importers under the India-ASEAN FTA. What we are given to understand that the Customs Department currently has issued notices to over 2,000 copper importers for paying lower duty, that is at around 0% by wrong classification, whereas they are liable to pay 35% is what the Customs Department say as per the value addition rules, and thus they have demanded the payback from the industry along with demands of bank guarantees. Meanwhile, Customs Department in these notices have actually come forward saying that they have validated this through third-party data from producers in Vietnam, and that is what is backing their claims. On the other hand, when it comes to how industry has reacted to it, well, industry has approached Finance Ministry, knocking the doors at Finance Minister's office along with the Revenue Department, seeking an urgent intervention because this, according to them, is arbitrary. And yes, these retrospective claims are actually impacting the entire sector. Industry via Bombay Metal Exchange has issued an urgent appeal to the Finance Ministry urging immediate action. They claim that these imports are essential for AC and refrigerator manufacturers in India who are getting impacted, and these claims are arbitrary and retrospective, which should not be the case because it does not go well with the FTA's spirit. So let's see what happens finally in terms of how do these customs notices actually fare out for the industry, whether the department gets some payout or it lands up at the courts again in a legal battle, something that we'll have to wait and watch for.
Right, Timsy, many thanks for those details. Now, Power Minister Manohar Lal is likely to conduct stakeholder consultations on market coupling. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 that whenever a market coupling will take place, then it will happen through a broad bid and not an internal bid. Shares of Indian Energy Exchange stumbled after the news. Remember, market coupling is an aggregation and match of buy and sell bids by the power exchanges for a uniform price discovery. The centre is looking to slash the average turnaround time for setting up a nuclear power plant. As per a money control report, the government is planning to reduce the time from 13 years to 8 years. The average time taken to build a nuclear power plant globally is between 6 and 8 years. The centre is also planning to increase its nuclear production capacity to 100 gigawatts by 2047. As of now, only an additional capacity of 15 gigawatts has been approved. National Securities Depository is pressing ahead with its plan to raise about 3,400 crore rupees through an initial public offering. According to a Bloomberg report, the IPO is now slated to take place by next month. The IPO will be an offer for sale by existing shareholders, including IDBI Bank, NSE and SBI. Market regulator SEBI and stock exchange BSE have granted approval to Jio BlackRock Investment Advisors to begin operations in India. Jio BlackRock Investment Advisors is a 50-50 joint venture between Jio Financial Services and BlackRock. The company has said that it will focus on building a digital-first product to benefit consumers. On that note, it is time for us to head into a short break. But coming up next, Singapore-flagged cargo ship is still on fire for the third day near the Kerala coast. Coast Guard says 40% of the fire has been extinguished. That and more when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still with us on Business 360. Top liquor stocks were under pressure a day after Maharashtra hiked the excise duty on Indian-made foreign liquor and premium liquor by at least 50%. Santya Gora joins us now with the details. Santya, take us through Maharashtra's plan on this front.
So now alcohol consumption is going to become even more expensive in Maharashtra. The Maharashtra government has hiked the excise duty on all categories of liquor in the state. Maharashtra already has the highest excise duty on alcohol across the nation, and the revised rates will further widen this gap. The state government has increased the excise duty on IMFL, Indian-made foreign liquor, from 3 times the manufacturing cost to 4.5 times, a steep 50% hike. Excise duty on country liquor has been raised from 180 rupees to 205 rupees per litre. And this is how this is going to impact our pockets. And before that, so this is how the new excise duty will impact liquor prices in the state. A 180 ml bottle of country liquor, which used to cost 60 to 70 rupees, will now cost a minimum of 80 rupees. A 180 ml bottle of Indian-made foreign liquor, which used to cost 115 to 130 rupees, will now cost at least 205 rupees. And a 180 ml bottle of premium foreign liquor, which used to cost 210 rupees, will now cost at least 360 rupees. The excise duty on the newly introduced Maharashtra-made liquor will also be set between the IMFL and country liquor category in order to promote Maharashtra-made liquor. Sources tell CNBC TV18 that the Maharashtra government had been working on the plan to revise the excise duty for the last 6 months. The last such revision happened in 2011. The decision is expected to increase Maharashtra's annual excise collection by 14,000 crore rupees, an amount that can go a long way at a time when, according to experts, the state is still facing financial distress due to multiple pre-poll welfare schemes, a claim now denied by the state government.
All right, Santya, many thanks for taking us through those details. But moving on to some international news, Israeli forces have killed at least 25 aid seekers at a food distribution site in southern Gaza. The military has also killed at least 4 Palestinians in an Israeli drone attack on a tent for displaced people in Khan Yunis city. Britain, Australia, Canada, New Zealand and Norway have imposed sanctions on 2 far-right Israeli government ministers for inciting extremist violence against Palestinians in the West Bank. Russia and Ukraine have exchanged over 1,000 captured soldiers. This is the second stage of the agreement struck at peace talks last week. This comes as Russia attacked Ukraine's capital of Kiev with waves of drones and missiles, killing 1 person. Ukrainian President Zelensky called the attack one of the biggest strikes on his country's capital in the 3-year-old war. After nearly a week of heated online sparring, billionaire Elon Musk has now softened his tone against US President Donald Trump. In a post on X, Musk acknowledged that some of his recent remarks against Trump went too far. Musk has even deleted some of his posts attacking the president. Remember, the tiff began after Musk criticized Trump's tax bill as a disgusting abomination. Los Angeles Police Department carried out mass arrests following the imposition of an overnight curfew by Mayor Karen Bass amid ongoing unrest. LAPD reported nearly 200 arrests on Tuesday alone, adding to over 180 detentions over the past few days. The protests sparked by immigration raids have spread to other cities, including New York, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. California Governor Gavin Newsom slammed President Donald Trump's deployment of National Guard troops, saying that democracy is under assault. The Indian Coast Guard continues to battle the blaze on the Singapore-flagged ship for the third day in a row. About 40% of the fire on the ship off the Kerala coast has been brought under control, as per the Coast Guard. The ship is still afloat but continues to release heavy smoke. Firefighting experts from Spain, UK and Netherlands are expected to join the operation within the next 72 hours, subject to visa clearance. CNN News 18's Neetu Raghukumar has more from Thiruvananthapuram.
It's the third day since a Singapore-flagged container vessel has caught fire off the coast of Kerala. But even today, though the fire has subsided, it has not yet been brought fully under control. The firefighting efforts are continuing by the Coast Guard and the Navy. 4 of the crew members are still missing, and the search for the missing crew members are still ongoing. 18 were rescued, and all of them were taken to a hospital in Mangalore. 2 are still hospitalized. The others are put up at a hotel in Mangalore. All of them are foreign nationals. Now, the other concerns as far as this is concerned is the vessel had about 2,000 tons of fuel oil and about 240 tons of diesel. So there are concerns about oil spilling and the damage it can cause to the environment. Another 147 containers had dangerous goods. This includes paint, varnish, flammable materials, pesticides. This could all have an impact on the environment, and once it floats into the sea. Many containers have already fallen into the sea. So these are the concerns that are being raised. The authorities, the State Disaster Management Authority is also in constant monitoring of this situation. The alert to the people living in the coastal area is not to touch any objects. If you see them coming to the coast, do not touch them. Maintain a distance of 200 meters and at the same time inform the authorities. But we are also learning that it might not reach the Kerala coast. It might even go to the coastal area in the neighboring state of Tamil Nadu. So this is a situation where we are right now at. The fire has not yet been brought fully under control. There are concerns about oil spilling and also the dangerous goods which are there in this container vessel.
So Neetu there with the latest on what's happening off the Kerala coast. Thank you so much for those details. But with that, it is a wrap on this edition of Business 360. More news and updates continue right here on CNBC TV 18.